Good morning and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is gifts. The gifts that we're given in terms of our talents and skills and abilities, and that these gifts that we're given aren't for us. They are, but they're gifts that we have that we're meant to give to the world. And in that giving, we experience our greatest and highest fulfillment and expression. So it should be a really fun conversation. And good morning, Rosalind. Welcome. It's great to have you back. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us. And before we get started on today's conversation, let's take a minute or two to get present. So let's take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it. And imagine clean, crisp oxygen flooding your lungs, flowing into your bloodstream, nourishing all your cells, all your organs, bringing vital life energy to your body and being. And as you exhale any tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose and hold it. This time, imagine brilliant, bright light lighting you up from the inside out, illuminating, electrifying, and energizing all your cells, your molecules, your electrons, creating a brilliant beam of light and energy from your heart out into the world. And as you exhale any remaining tension, stress, negativity, fatigue. And now let's press our palms together and vigorously rub your hands together to feel all those sensations, the friction, the pressure, the motion, the temperature, the tickling and tingling when you stop, and allow all those sensations to bring you present right here, right now, into this remarkable physical form that enables you to experience life. Welcome. It's Friday. And what better way to start off the weekend than to be present to the gifts? We each are given gifts. We each have particular talents or skills or capacities, vantage points that we get to share with the world. And it's interesting in conversation around the gifts. This comes from, I started talking about it a little bit yesterday. It comes from conversation with one of my clients who really has the capacity to make magic. And what I mean by that is not spell casting, but to really generate big results in the world. And we were talking about how we handicap ourselves. There was a wonderful story, I believe it was called Welcome to the Monkey House, from Kurt Vonnegut. He had a collected book called Welcome to the Monkey House of short stories. I read it years and years ago, and I don't have vivid recall of it, but there was this one story about how everybody, there was a big awareness of equality. And so when people had certain gifts or skills or strengths that were greater than other people, they were handicapped. They were, for instance, there was a dancer who just had this spectacularly beautiful, strong body, and it was a male dancer. I think it was a ballet dancer, and because he was so much stronger, and so, he was like this Adonis kind of character. He had all these weights that he was wearing to weigh him down, to handicap him, so that he was more like everybody else. And it was I read it years and years and years ago, and obviously it has stuck with me. And it's very interesting because this is something that we do to ourselves. And in fact, this person recognized that some of the ways that they were focusing their attention and directing their energy and focusing their attention and directing their energy actually was a handicap to them, that they were muting their gifts because they had the underlying feeling that if they had all this magic and other people didn't, that maybe they didn't have the right to be expressing all this magic and having all this impact in the world, and maybe it was selfish of them to be expressing this magic. And the analogy that I came up with was, if someone is born with a magnificent voice, should they be only singing in the shower? Or is that voice something that is a gift to the world when they share it? And we all have these gifts. So when we have these gifts, utilizing them is something that, first off, provides us with remarkable fulfillment and self-expression, because those gifts come from our heart and soul. And in the process of that expression, they are a contribution to the world. And so for this person to recognize that perhaps their magic wasn't personal, that the gift wasn't theirs to keep, that the gift was theirs to give away. And in that giving away of that gift, they get to experience greater expression and greater fulfillment. It's a win for everybody all the way around. It's pretty cool, right? To think about it that way. And I believe that that's true, that when we are present to our gifts and we share them, that enriches us, and then it enriches the world. And we can take this conversation even further to another level, where the experiences in our lives that look like they are torturing us often are gifts, part of the gifts to us to hone and refine and elevate our own gifts. So, for instance, the struggle and suffering that so many of us have experienced has honed us and refined us and wizened us, given us greater wisdom to be able then to share that wisdom, that learning with the world. And so those hardships in their way can be a profound gift to give us the richness of the expression that we have, to help in the development of our expression, of our uniqueness. So Rosalind says, gifts, if I have abundance, I want to share, like a fruitful lemon tree. That's beautiful. Good morning, good morning, Sue. Welcome. So good to have you here with us. Join us in this expression of gifts. And I agree, Rosalind. So the thing is, we often feel guilty about the abundance that we have, whether it's an abundance of talent, skill. You know, we often try to minimize ourselves, to keep ourselves small so that other people don't feel bad, or so that we feel like we fit in better. And the thing is that in doing that, we're denying the gift that we came here to give. We're denying our fullest expression by trying to normalize, in big air quotes, normalize ourselves to fit in, where the reason we were given our gifts is because, like in an orchestra, you need all different instruments, right? You don't want all the instruments sounding the same. So that's what we are. We're all instruments in this spectacular symphony. And we each have our unique sounds, and that's what we're here to share. You know, we each have our unique soul song, I call it. And when all those songs or all those notes or all those tones or rhythms combine, then we have this incredible variety and what might seem like a cacophony, but is actually, you know, this magnificent symphony of life. And so I think, happy St. Patrick's Day. Welcome, Jenny. Great to have you here with us this morning. We're talking about gifts and how the gifts of our lives, the gifts of our individual talents. It's also often the thing that makes us weird. The thing that we get criticized for is often the seed of our gift. For example, for most of my life, I was told within 5 minutes of meeting me that I was either too intense or crazy. And now I get paid for being intense, you know, for seeing things differently, for seeing deeply into situations, for wanting to understand how things work, and for being able to unearth those dynamics. Jenny says, I love drum circles. They're very healing. So maybe there's something for you in that space of rhythm and drumming and communion with others. You know, there might be a gift in there for you. And when we find the things that are gifts to us, then when we share that, it is giving a gift to the world. So when we find the things that we do naturally, so this is the other thing. We've been conditioned to think we have to struggle. So if it feels easy, something must be wrong. It must be that we're being lazy, or we're being too comfortable. And the thing is that our gifts come easy. It doesn't mean that it's easy to develop them. You know, it doesn't mean that we don't put attention toward them, toward developing ourselves in those regards, but they're easy. So for me, as an example, the coaching work that I do, these conversations that I have with you, these are easy. They're enriching. They're enlivening for me. They're very natural. I don't have to struggle and stress to engage in this way. It's very natural to me. And so that's when we know that we're in kind of in the flow of our gifts, when we take ownership of that and allow that to flow. Jenny says, I'm a wounded healer. So I would venture to say, Jenny, that all healers that I've met anyway have wounds, and that's what brought them into being healers to begin with. And certainly I can say that that's the case for me. It was through healing myself, through my and obviously not alone, with the assistance of many other people in my life that I've encountered. And but being on the path of healing is what educated me into being able to do the work that I do. So, and Jenny says, as I'm healing, I'm discovering my gifts 100%. And the fact that your woundedness, I'm going to say, was a gift to you that enabled you or that moved you into discovery and expression of those gifts. Had I not been wounded, I wouldn't have gone on the path of personal transformation, and I wouldn't be expressing what I express to the world in terms of awareness or communication or healing or development. All of this comes from having experienced it and experienced that pain. In my case, I don't know too many people who have gone through big transformations and growth without some degree of pain. It would be nice if it weren't essential, but my sense is that it is part of the gift. Oftentimes people have a like a near-death experience, right? And they come back from that and they're new, but it was a profound cataclysmic kind of event in their lives. And sometimes it's not just one event, sometimes it's a whole big passage. And when we get to the other side of it, then we're in a place to really truly give that gift of the learning and the wisdom from that experience, to give that to the world. So without those experiences, we wouldn't have the fullest expression of our gift to give. And that in the giving, we are receiving that gift because we're in fulfillment. We're in an expression of who we are. So Jenny says, being of service, helping others help heal. Exactly. And helps heal ourselves. So yes, being of service, helping others to help heal, helps heal ourselves 100%. 100%. And as we heal ourselves, we're better able to help others heal. And I think it's a very different way to be considering the trauma and challenges that we've experienced in life. If we experience them as a training ground and as opportunities that are given to us in order that we come into our fullest expression, then it's a very, very different perspective. And I had a client that said, you mean I don't have to think about how badly I've screwed up my life and all the mistakes I've made and feel like I'm a failure. And this person's an extraordinary coach And as they're healing these other wounds and moving through these darker caverns to find the light, they are becoming even more adept and more perceptive and more compassionate and more wise, moving through what they're moving through, because then they can say to other people going through that experience, I've been through that. I know what you're talking about. I've had clients say to me, the fact that I've been able to share with them that I have had all these screw ups in my life and that I've had all these challenges, for instance, around money and all these horror stories around money, and now I'm on the other side of that. The fact that I can share that with people have told me that gives them hope to know that it's okay to be going through what they're going through. It's an important passage that is, it's a schooling, it's an education, if we choose to use it that way. Even being in dark places of victimhood, shame, blame, anger, pain, despair. I can say that I have experienced all of that, as I imagine you have too. And the thing is that when we get to another side of that, then we can support people in moving through those very, very challenging times. Ideally, we can. There has to be a will. There has to be a will to get to the other side of it, of course. So Jenny says, forward thinking is growing through negative past times. That's a really interesting way to put it, Jenny. Yeah. So through the hardships that we have endured, we get to choose our lessons. That's the thing too, is we get to choose, do we want to become contracted, constricted, bitter, angry, or do we want to be expansive, alive, vital, expressed? And I can say for myself, and I know this isn't true for everybody, because I see other people in my world who are very bitter and very committed to sort of staying there, which is heartbreaking for me to witness, I have to say. But from the time I was a teenager, I was looking for how to heal. Even then, I was looking for what's my purpose? What's the purpose of the universe? How does this all work? What are we doing here? So that was just my thing, but that has turned into my gift. It was a gift to me. That was my passion, my passionate interest throughout my whole life. And so it makes sense, it's coming forward to you as this expression. Jenny says, the student or the teacher. I would say the student and the teacher, because for me, I'm always learning. I'm always curious to learn more, to move more deeply into expanding whatever my potentials might be, to discovering what does it look like to live into fuller and fuller expression. And Jenny says, referring to life lessons. Yes, good point. The student and the teacher. Because the thing is, when we allow ourselves to rest in knowing, that's a stagnation. because we live in an evolving system. We live in a system that is constantly changing. And we are, as individuals, a system or systems that are constantly changing and evolving and emerging. You are not the same person. Maybe in an essential way, you are the same. Like, I can say that I've had this passionate interest in consciousness and being and the nature of reality for as long as I can remember. But the way that I am expressed in the world has evolved profoundly. And the way that I respond to things, the way that I perceive things, the way that I interpret things, it's very, very different. Jenny says, always learning. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's what life is about. When we stop learning, we start dying. When we stop being curious, when we stop having a sense of wonder and awe in the world, at least for me, I mean, that's the essence of life to me, is this rich curiosity. And it used to be that my self-development came from a deep experience of brokenness, of feeling broken and feeling this profound impulse to fix my brokenness. And that's what drove me for so much of my life, is to be fixing my brokenness. And then I've gotten to a place where finally, I feel whole. And now from the place of wholeness, it's a matter of exploring my potentials. So it's not about fixing something that's broken, but enriching something that had, like, further blossoming. And it's a very different experience. So Jenny says, okay, fix others' up brokenness before you go. Sorry, off topic. What's the name of the houses you want to build? Okay, Jenny. So the house, the material is called Aircrete. And the company that I took the training from is called Dome Gaia. And if you go to domegaia.com, DOMEGAIA.com, you'll see what they're up to and workshops they have available and such. So there's step one, there are phases, and I'm going to wrap up in just a minute, but there are phases in this understanding and expression of our gift. So welcome, Dido. It's so good to have you here with us this morning. And Sue, it's been great to have you here as well. And so the phases might be healing our brokenness. And then and I see this in my practice with people. First, it's about healing the brokenness. You know, it's about the emergency things. And then it's about emergence. Once the emergencies are handled, once the brokenness is healed, then we move into fuller expression and the emergence of what's possible. And so glad to have you all joining us. And just for anybody who doesn't know, Sue and Dido are the magic behind Ruth Anderson's brilliant Enlightened World Network. So obviously Ruth is the catalyst, and Sue and Dido are the people behind the scenes who make it all happen. So much gratitude to both of you for facilitating this gift that we all get to partake in and appreciate, of Enlightened World Network, and the opportunity to commune with such a rich collective of heart-centered, spiritually minded folks. So much gratitude to you both, and a wonderful weekend to everybody. And I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection, and I go live here each weekday morning on the Enlightened World Network Facebook page and YouTube channel at 9 a.m. Eastern. And I invite you truly to check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network and Enlightened World Living. And Jenny says, I appreciate you all. And Dido says, thanks so much. And we thank you, and Sue and Ruth and all the wonderful people who are contributors on Enlightened World Network. It's my deep privilege to be able to be part of this community. And so with much love and gratitude, I hope to see